Hi. So today I'm going to talk to you about crystals, but I also wanted to talk to you more than just about crystals because when I originally decided to do the talk, I was just thinking about crystals because my background is I started doing Reiki in 1999, and then about 7 years later, then I started teaching it. And that's my favourite modality of all the things to do. And then from there, I've added crystals into what I do. And you may be thinking, what have crystals got to do with me in my everyday life? Well, why crystals are important is when we go through different situations or different illnesses, different conditions, what the essences and the crystals really do. I'm going to talk about the essences tomorrow. What the crystals do is they're crystals for anxiety, which are like your lepidolite and your rose quartz. And then if you're kind of heart chakra crystals, they're really good for any anxiety, and they're also good for respiratory and lungs. So any of the heart chakra crystals would be really good for anxiety. So that's why when COVID started, what happened was I got a lot of requests for the distance healing, and then people were wanting crystals as well, and then essences as well, because it's a time where we're out of our normal routine, our life's a little out of sync. So people were really asking for tools or things that could help them in their life. So then I thought, well, yes, crystals definitely are beneficial, because I know myself when I need particular crystals, I will wear particular chakra bracelets, like I would have one for the throat, a grounding bracelet, one for, I've got a chakra bracelet which is basically works on all the chakras. So when I was going to give this talk, I thought, well, I don't want to just talk about crystals. I actually want to talk about how the different therapies that I do can really have an impact in your life for your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health as well. So crystals really are, as I said, they're good for anxiety. And especially with COVID, you can have crystals for the respiratory system, crystals for the lungs, and then also crystals, we call it grounding in Reiki. That's to help bring the energy down out of the head for those of us who would be very busy in the mind, very busy head. There are crystals to kind of calm and clear the mind. So you'd have your stones like your smoky quartz and all your grounding crystals like your obsidians, your black tourmaline, all those all those quartzes, all those crystals, all your kind of dark, your reddish brown crystals, your black crystals, all those kind of crystals would be for grounding. So you can have crystals that would help you when you're when you're feeling anxiety, stress, busy mind. So I wanted to talk about those crystals. And if you go to my page, I have links on the different crystals. There's crystals for migraines, there's crystals for anxiety, the respiratory system, stress, grounding. There's crystals for basically every element that you can think of. And I know for me, when I'm using crystals in my everyday daily life, how much they help me. So as I said, when I put on a bracelet, I can feel, oh, that's really grounding for me, or oh, that's really beneficial for the heart chakra. So I found at the start of lockdown, the start of COVID, I was sending out a lot of the lovely chakra bracelets that I have available in my shop. So this talk that I'm doing today is part of the online Body, Mind, Spirit Festival. So that's taking place this weekend, and then there'll be other events coming up as well throughout the year. There will be some events that you can go to the venue, and then there will also be events online. So that's why I wanted to talk to you today about crystals in your everyday life, because they really do help you. If somebody's carrying a crystal and they're quite stressful, or they're maybe in a workplace and they kind of find, going to work with COVID and the restrictions in place, you can have a crystal in your bag, in your pocket, and it can just really assist you to work through the different things that you're going through in your life. Then I also wanted to talk about Reiki a little bit today too, because that was the first modality that I ever learned, was Reiki. And I'm finding now, with people kind of going back into the workforce more and more, and lockdown kind of, the restrictions being eased a little bit, but again, we're not quite back in our normal regime, that, I wouldn't be sending as many distance sessions. I have more people coming to me now in person. But what I'm finding is I just learned Seishim Reiki. I do Seikim Reiki, which is Egyptian Reiki, but I just learned Seishim Reiki, and I find that Seishim Reiki is, I do Rahani, and Rahani, I basically call Rahani Reiki for the heart. It's a lovely pink energy. It balances the male and the female energies. It's very good for grief, for any conditions of the heart. So then, for years I'd wanted to learn Seishim, because I always thought it's got a lovely energy. When I just read about it, I thought I wanted to learn it. And then I finally decided, okay, this week I'm going to learn it. So why I wanted to talk to you about Seishim Reiki is because it's an opening up of the heart, and it's also very much, it can work very much on the grounding aspect. It can very much work on the throat chakra as well. So I find myself that I've been doing Seishim on myself this week, because you can do Reiki on yourself, and the difference I find within myself as well of doing the Seishim, of how much it just changes, how much it changes things in your life. Because that's why I wanted to talk about it today, because I just found when I was doing the training, I just did the training this week, how I felt it was releasing different emotions from my body that were no longer serving me. So I felt like I really wanted to give this Reiki to my clients. So I actually sent some distance Reiki for one of my regular clients this week, and I said, did you notice anything different? And she said, yeah, you know what, I did. And she said the energy was really nice, it was really relaxing, it was really calming, and it made her feel, she said, very peaceful. She said, yeah, I just want to go to sleep now, it's bedtime. And she said it just really made me feel much calmer. So I found with this Seishim Reiki that the reason I like it is because it's heart-based. It's a heart-based modality, and I always wanted to learn to teach Rahani, and this timing has never been right. And then when I learned the Seishim, I thought, no, this is what I'm going to give my clients and my students. This is what I give them, this lovely heart-based modality that it will work on the heart, but it will also work on the throat, and it will also work on calmness and grounding. So that's why I wanted to talk about the Seishim Reiki today as well, along with the crystals, because when you're receiving Reiki, be it remotely or be it in person, you can use the crystals as well. You can, wear the chakra bracelets. You can, have crystals that you keep in your pocket, by your bed at night. You can have different chakra jewelry. So in my online shop, I have these chakra bracelets. And I would be somebody that would have quite a busy mind, and I have these lovely grounding bracelets. There's a lady who makes them, and I was looking at her bracelets, and I thought, I actually think I need a different combination of crystals. So then we sat down and we came up with a grounding bracelet, and I found when I wear that bracelet, I remember when I first started wearing it, and it's funny, one day one of my clients came in and said, I want your bracelet, because obviously I have to order them. So I had to take my bracelet off and give it to her, but I found I wore that bracelet solid for a year. And then just one day I thought, I don't need this anymore. And I could feel the benefit. When I wasn't wearing it, I could feel the difference. So that's how much these crystals really do work. You can give somebody a crystal and they say, oh, like I was working on, this gentleman, I've been sending him distance Reiki, and he brought his daughter. And I just said, this is the crystal, picked for you, and handed it to her, and right away she was like, oh, and she was just blown away, even by looking at the crystal. She loved how it looked, and I said, keep this crystal on you, and she said, yeah, I have an amethyst crystal. So right away she was impacted by the crystal. She just knew, yeah, this one resonates with me. And you can also get crystal essences as well. So that's something that for some of my clients, I will get them crystal essences as well. And then tomorrow I'm going to talk about the flower essences that I use, because everything that I do, you can add crystals into it, you can add flower essences along with the therapies, you can have the different modalities. So I do a range of different holistic therapies, and if you go to my page on the online Mind, Body, Spirit event, you'll see the description of the different therapies that I offer, and I can do in-person sessions now, because now I'm open for business. Or I can send remote Reiki. And you may be thinking, how does this remote Reiki work, or how do these remote modalities work? And they just do, because for me it's like I'm right there. It's like you're in my therapy room and I'm right there working on you, and I feel it just as if you were there. And then when I say to my clients what I feel, they're like, yeah, I completely felt that. So it's really good for people if you're living in a different part of the country or even a different country, and I can send the Reiki and it will work. And I think even though we're not in such strict lockdown anymore, well, essentially we're out of lockdown, but we've still got some protocols in place, we can still use these modalities to help ourselves. Because I know sometimes even just going out to the shop when people are wearing masks and you've got the hand sanitizer and there's a lot of people in the shop, it can feel overwhelming. But then that's the time where we can say, okay, I'm going to take my crystal with me, I'm going to put my bracelet on, and that's the kind of thing we can have. And we can also, I teach Reiki as well, if anybody wanted to learn Reiki to do it themselves, friends or family. Because a lot of it with my own clients, a lot of them, I would say to them, okay, you need a lot of Reiki. And I will say to them, I'm not going to be working on you every day. I'm going to only work on you once a week at the most, maybe every couple of weeks. So then I teach them Reiki so they can work on themselves every day, and then they have Reiki with me as well. So I find that I have all these different, I call them tools, and these are things that I've used myself. They're not just something that I say to people, I'm going to send you Reiki, or, I'm going to work on you. I actually work on myself, and that's part of my job as a Reiki I call myself a Reiki teacher. I don't call myself a Reiki master, because I feel like we're not masters of anything. I've just been gifted to give these amazing modalities to help people. I can use them to help people, and I use them along with the amazing crystals, the amazing essences, and people go through deep transformations. People say, oh yeah, I'm sleeping better now. I have one gentleman, and it's really helping him with anxiety. He got the first essence and he kind of said, got the second one. He said, yeah, that's definitely the one. And now he's on a different one, and it's amazing just the difference that it makes for people. And then people say, well, have you got something that would help my mother, or have you got something, for my child? And I find that we are in an age where people may think, right, well, why would I use these things that are not normal to me? They seem outside my norm, but that's because they help. So if you're in a place where you're feeling stressed, you take some rescue remedy, you put your bracelets on, you take your crystals, or you go and you have a modality, and it really can help calm the mind, the emotions. And if you do have physical pain, there's sound healing and Reiki, different things like that can really help if you're in physical pain. Good for arthritis, back stuff, different things like that. And now I can do reflexology, so reflexology is very good for the whole immune system. So there's different modalities that we can use to help ourselves through the different emotions and different conditions that we have. So I just wanted to touch a little bit on crystals, but then go into the different modalities that I do. And I'm not going to talk about them all today. I'm just going to let you go to my page, and if you want any more information, then you can ask me. And as I said, I'm available for sessions. I can do remotely. So if you go online, you can contact me and I can send remotely. You can go to my shop and see what's available in my shop, my crystals, the essences, the bracelets. And then you can also ask me about any therapy, any questions about, because with the essences, I'm going to talk about them tomorrow, there's something that you feel guided, you feel drawn to. You pick what you're guided to, what resonates with you the most. So if you contact me and said, like, I'm dealing with anxiety, then I'd be able to recommend a couple of essences for anxiety, and then you would pick the one that you're the most drawn to. But I don't want to go into those today, because I want to talk about those more in depth tomorrow. So basically, I've been doing this 21 years, and I do what I do because I had my own health issues, and I work on myself. As I said, I work on my kids, I work on my family, and then I just got to the stage where I wanted to give back. I didn't want this just to be for me anymore. This was just for helping other people, and that's why I use the tools that I do, because I do get good results, and I can feel deeply when I'm working on people. And I want to help people who are feeling stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, fearful, got busy minds, or in extreme pain. I want to help people in whatever way I can. So that's why I'm talking about the Seishin Reiki, because it's heart-based. And then you've got IET, which gets the issues out of the tissue, so it's really good for changing negative to positive. You've got your tapping, you've got your sound healing, which is Reiki, just basically Reiki with sound. It's really good for aches and pains. You've got your Reiki, and the Seishin Reiki is the one that I really will be using for my clients now, because it really opens up the heart chakra, and it allows love to flow, and it loves all those emotions that can be stuck there or pent up. It allows love to flow, and a lot of times people have gone through grief or they're in anxiety, and the heart chakra, it becomes closed. When I talk about chakras, they're just energy centers. Like we have the heart, we have the throat. They're just different energy centers in the body, where there are different emotions going on. Like the throat is communication. So when we work on those different energy centers by using crystals or having a treatment, then it means the energy flows, and then it can actually help our health, because we have a freer flow of energy. So people would come to me and maybe they have thyroid issues. That's communication. So then you work on that throat chakra, or you work on the heart for the grief, and it can really help the energy to flow, and it can help people not be in as much pain, or not as worried, or not as anxious. And that's why I say to people, get yourself a bracelet, get yourself a crystal or two, carry them around with you, and just see what the benefit is. Or get an essence, take an essence for 3 weeks. And people usually after the first essence are kind of like, okay. I had one client, and she had the first essence, and it was very much, Pluto's the essence, very much a COVID essence. It's the one for being outside of our familiar regime, our familiar kind of territory. So Pluto, that's what Pluto was about. So she had Pluto. And then she decided, okay, well, I'm going to try a different one. And then she took the second essence, and she couldn't believe the difference. So I find people either try the first essence and it really resonates with them, or sometimes it's the second one. But I always say, go by what you're drawn to. And you probably all heard of Rescue Remedy, and that's just what the essences are. They're just combinations of different flowers and plants, but I'll talk about that more tomorrow. So those are something that you can use along with the Reiki, the reflexology, along with the crystals, whatever modality it is. And it's something that I always say to people, if you're doubtful and you think, okay, well, how is this going to help me? She's sending it remotely, that seems a bit strange. Well, have a session, and then you'll actually realize how it works. Because I had one client, and he's the one that brought his daughter the other day. He'd had Reiki from me in person, and he said, oh, I don't know about this distance Reiki. And I said, try a session. And he had the second session. He said, okay, I can feel that. Time it came to the third session, the difference it made in the gentleman's life. So sometimes, even if people are skeptical, it does really work, and it really works on a deep level. Somebody might say, didn't feel much, just felt a bit more peaceful, or I fell asleep on the table, whatever it is, or I went home and had a good night's sleep, or maybe somebody has digestive issues. Oh, my appetite was better, definitely felt much better. So it does shift things even just a little bit, because some people say, no, I didn't feel much. And I say, well, what did you feel? And they'll say, yeah, my appetite got better, after you worked on me, or I had the best night's sleep I've had in a couple of months. So it always works, even if you don't feel it deeply, the energy always works. And I always say to people too, there are crystals to help with the digestive system. There are crystals for every ailment that you can think of. There's crystals for fibromyalgia, there's crystals for women's issues, there's crystals for every ailment that you can think of. Moonstone's a lovely woman's crystal. There are, blue lace agate for the throat. I mean, I could talk about crystals all day, because I do use them in my work. And even if I'm sending remote sessions, I'll usually say to the client, do you have this crystal or that crystal, and I recommend what crystals they get, and I always kind of guide people to use crystal. Because sometimes I say, if you've got a rose quartz, go get your rose quartz. And I find then they'll say, oh, that made a huge difference. So even when I'm doing remote sessions, you can still work with the crystals as well. Clients can bring in their own crystals and put them on themselves, or have them by their bed, or whatever it is, or they can put their chakra bracelet on. So you can work with the crystals in all facets of life, whether, remotely, in your pocket, wearing it on your wrist, wearing a necklace. And it really does. I mean, I find for me, just the difference of crystals, that's why I've got quite a few different the lovely bracelets that this lady makes, because sometimes I need a heart chakra one, sometimes I need a grounding one, sometimes I need 2 or 3. And I just kind of know, I'm lucky that I know what I need. And I would, I sometimes I put on something I haven't worn in a while and say, oh, I've got a crystal in my pocket. Oh, okay, so I needed that throat one then, or I needed that grounding one. And my son has a box in his room. He's 11 and he's a box full of crystals, and every time I get a new crystal, he wants that new crystal that I have. And he'd be very in tune of what there are. And amazonite is an amazing one. It's a really good one for the immune system. That's one that I'd recommend for people, because a lot of people would have issues with the immune system, and amazonite's a really good one for that. A lot of people who have like fibromyalgia and MS and ME and those kinds of conditions, and it's really good to give them that crystal for the immune system, because I find that I would be working on quite a few people these days whose immune system would be a little compromised, and when they use these crystals they do feel the difference. So that's just my little talk today about crystals. I could go into much more detail. As I said, if you go to my own Facebook page, you'll find information on there on the different crystals for the different conditions, and then if you contact me, I can guide you to a bracelet or a crystal or crystals for yourself. And or if you're interested in an essence, I can definitely, if you tell me what is going on with yourself or a family member or a loved one or a friend or a co-worker, I can guide you to the right essence, because you can say, look, I need this for my mom, or I need this for my friend. And if you tell me what's going on, I can help you pick an essence for them. Children under 14 don't take these essences. There are different essences for children. 3 essences are for children. So children under 14, because they have the energy centers, their energy centers aren't fully developed, so that's why we don't give them these essences, because their bodies are still developing. So when they are 14, then they're able to take the essences that the adults can take. So I always say, the children would be on a different set of essences. So I'm going to talk more about those tomorrow. And then if you want any more information on the crystals, let me know. If you want any more information on the therapies, let me know. And then, you can just browse my shop. And if you're drawn to any products, just let me know. And as I said, ask me questions, because I really just love the work that I do. And they say Sheem is heart-based, and that's what I want to work from, a place of, that heart center, the love, the feminine, just working from that heart-based energy and reaching out to help people who've been affected during this time of change, this time of transformation, as I call it. So I want to be able to reach out and help people in any way I can. So I'll be giving another talk tomorrow at 2 o'clock tomorrow on the essences. And feel free to ask me any questions you have, and I will answer them. So thank you for listening, and take care.